Welcome to our pop-up live today. My name is Sousa, fitness officer from King Campus. Today I'm going to go over how to make your own cold brew coffee and cold brew tea. So we'll start with cold brew coffee. It's super easy to make. You'll save a ton of money. If you're like me, you spend way too much money at Starbucks. So it's a good way to save some money. Save some time in the morning too. Around this time of the year, I switched from regular brewed coffee to cold brew coffee, just because it's so hot outside. It's, like I said, super cheap to make at home, super simple. It'll save you a ton of time in the morning, so you don't have to rush around and prep your coffee maker. It's pretty much just grab and go once it's prepped, okay? So what you're gonna need is a cup of your favorite coffee. You wanna make sure it's whole beans. Don't go buy ground beans. You wanna make sure that they're whole beans. This is because we have to grind it to a certain fineness, okay? If it's too fine, if you do like an espresso grind, it's going to go through the filter that we're going to use and you're going to get a grainy cold brew. So what you want to do is measure out a cup of whole coffee beans. Like I said, use any of your favorite whole coffee beans. And you're going to grind it up. So 1 cup, put it in your grinder, whatever you use. If you have a manual one, that's cool. If you have an electric one like this, even better, save you some more time. So what you're going to do is turn it on, and you want to grind it so it's about the consistency of like crumbled cookie, okay? Again, we do that because we don't want the thin espresso grind to seep through the filters we're going to use. So something that resembles kind of like ground up cookie. This grinder here has different settings. So percolator would be something that's a bit chunkier, filter drip a bit more on the fine side, and espresso would be very fine, okay? So I'm just gonna take a look, maybe a bit more. That should be good there. I'll show you kind of what to look for. As I said, you want something that looks like cookie crumbs. So you can see there, just picture like an Oreo cookie all crumbled up. Again, make sure it's not too fine. So 1 cup of whole beans just gives you just a bit less than a cup when it's ground. And then we're going to use a 1-to-4 ratio. So 1 cup of beans to 4 cups of water. So I just use a cheap mason jar. You want to fill it with water. If filtered water, tap water, doesn't really matter. As long as it's cold, you don't want hot water in there. And you're just going to dump it in. I actually don't have my funnel with me, so I'm going to do as best I can here. I'm probably going to make a mess. So I'm just going to dump that in. Oh yeah, big mess. Okay, if you have a funnel, it's even better. You don't get a big mess on your counter. So it's easier to clean up. So I'm just going to put my ground coffee in there. And then you just want to get a spoon and just gently stir it a little bit and just make sure that the grounds are submerged so that they're all in the water there. And you can push it down a little bit. So again, that's 1 cup of whole beans to 4 cups water. If you don't want to make that much, you can just cut that in half. So you do 1/2 cup and 2 cups water. You can use anything that you have that has a lid on it to keep it fresh. So you can see it's all submerged. If you have a French press, you can use that. It's a lot fancier. You don't have to use all the filters and stuff because they have a built-in filter on the plunger. But it's really simple to do, even just with a mason jar. So I'm going to put the lid on that. I'm going to tighten it nice and tight so it stays fresh. I'm just going to go upside down once, just make sure I got all the coffee grinds covered and submerged. And this will give you almost like a concentrate. So I like my coffee really strong. So usually the only water I add to this is ice cubes, and that kind of waters down the concentrate. So I don't actually add water to it. But what you're going to do with this once you have the lid on is put it in your fridge for about 12 hours. Anything longer than that, the coffee gets really, really strong. So I would say 10 to 12 hours. If you do like your coffee really strong, you can leave it a bit longer. But it's a nice, smooth way to brew your coffee too. You don't get the acidity that you get when you use hot water over it. You don't tend to get those acid compounds that get released when you have really hot water over the coffee. So it's a bit smoother, almost like a sweet taste. So you might find that you don't need to add any sugar to it. But what you're going to do is steep it for 12 hours. After it's steeped, you just open it up. And you can use different methods to get the ground coffee out. What I do is I put a piece of cheesecloth. You can get this at like dollar store or your local grocery store. Same thing with these. This is just like a sieve. I lay the cheesecloth over the sieve, and then I just get another clean mason jar. Make sure it's big enough to take on the 4 cups of water that you have in here. I put that on top, and then if this was steeped, I would have a layer of cheesecloth, pour it through, and it traps all the coffee grounds. Okay. Once you're done, you can put this back in the fridge. It lasts about a week, and it's like I said, it's like almost like a concentrate. So you can add water to it if you want, but if you like strong coffee, you don't have to. And yeah, it's going to be about a week in there. As you go on, it doesn't taste as good. So just keep that in mind. So if you do it at the beginning of the week, just try to make sure you drink it all before the end of the week. Okay. And then you can add whatever you like to it. I know a lot of people like to put sweeteners in it, whether that's a natural sweetener or they can use like honey, maple syrup, stevia, sugar, and you can add things like milk, cinnamon, whatever you would put in like your Starbucks order, I guess. If you want like a caramel, you can probably buy some caramel syrup online. But that's the coffee one. Super cheap, super easy, and it tastes really, really good. For tea, it's even actually simpler than that. What you're going to do is get another mason jar if you have one. You could even do this in a tea mug, but if you have a lid, then that's even better because it stays fresh. So I'm just going to look for my tea bag. I had it out here. I probably moved it around. So I'm going to grab a new tea bag. Give me one. Oh, here it is here. So you just take your favorite tea. I really like green tea. This is a jasmine green tea you can just get at the grocery store. And all you have to do is put 1 tea bag for every 1 cup of water, okay? So if you're doing like 4 cups, you would just put 4 tea bags. Again, it's probably going to be pretty strong. So what you want to do is like pour a cup, and then you can add a little bit of water, a little bit of ice, and it'll mellow out the flavor. So with the tea, you only need about, I would say, 6 to 8 hours. 8 would be on the strong side, especially for green tea. It'll prevent it from getting too bitter. So if you go to 4 to 6 hours, you won't get any bitter taste, but you'll get a good amount of caffeine too. So just keep that in mind. If you don't want caffeine in your tea, you can get like an herbal tea. And it's again, same thing. Like you can add like lime to it. It's really good. Any of your favorite teas, herbal, like loose leaf, whatever. If you're doing loose leaf, just make sure you Google a recipe for loose leaf. This is just for bagged tea. Loose leaf's a lot stronger, so I'm not sure what the ratio would be. It also depends on what kind of tea you're using. But if you're doing like a green tea or a white tea, definitely like the 6 to 8 hour mark in the fridge. So it's nice and cold. Close it up so it's nice and fresh. Again, you can add whatever you like to it. I like to add a little bit of honey or a little bit of stevia. So those are 2 different methods for coffee and tea. If you're not a coffee person, definitely try the tea and vice versa. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I hope you can save a little bit of money over the summer. Like I said, that was my go-to in the summer is a stop at Starbucks, and this is a way of having like a whole week supply for around $2. So enjoy, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.